Hey everybody, Rebels at Cloud9 here. I'm just going to tilt this up slightly ever so. I think that'll about do her. Hope you guys are all doing well. This is a show and tell I'm going to do of Wingnut Wings DH.9a Ninak. So this is a pretty cool model. This is the post-war edition. They've been releasing a couple post-war kits and they're very, very impressive. I'm quite impressed with Wingnut Wing kits. A lot of people have been asking questions about them. Are they good? Are they what they're worth? Are they a lot of hassle? A lot of fussing? How's the rigging and all this stuff? There's a lot of questions that go in about them, and a lot of people think we see the pictures online of them and we go, "Oh, those look beautiful," but it looks a little too complicated for me. And I just want to go through and share part of my building experience of this kit, and I did not record it. It was documented, which will be shown later, much later, when I have full permission to do that. Let me just take off my coat here. And there. So yeah, the Wingnut Wings is partially owned by Peter Jackson, who is famous for Wingnut films and The Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies, and he loves scale models, which I didn't know. He was a modeler for movie sets and things back in the day, and that's what he did before he was a director, and has a fondness for kits and things, and his favorite era is World War I. So they made this, so he partnered with this World War I company, and we have Wingnut Wings, which are really incredible, all out of New Zealand. I believe everything's made out of there. Could be. Hold on, let me see. Oh, manufactured in China. That was incorrect. Okay. But they do come out of New Zealand as far as I understand. So, first thing, you guys did see this a little while ago when I did the Eindecker. I'm going to go through the instruction book a little bit. So, some of you do remember me talking about this. You get a nice history of the aircraft in the front here, and I really like this. We have Tamiya, Humbrol, Federal Standard colors, and since I use Tamiya, this was very helpful. Although I don't always quite agree with their recommendations, which that's okay. We all perceive colors a little differently. Here we have our parts layout. You can see here the ones in blue. These are for the older Ninak. Well, I guess it's not actually a Ninak. DH9, and then you get this huge decal sheet. The decal sheet takes up the entire bottom of the box, and a little bit of metal, a little bit of photo etch metal. So don't worry too much about that. It's very simple stuff. There's nothing complicated. This is the second one that I built, and I definitely did a better job on this one than I did the first one. The first time was a good run through. Second time I was way more committed to knowing what I was going to be doing on there, and it didn't feel like I don't feel like I wasted any modeling on this one. It was very fun. Some of the nicest instructions I've ever seen in a kit before. Like, they tell you the colors here. They have these little paint drops, and you just sort of match them up. So it's quite nice. Engineering on this kit was absolutely superb. There was nothing wrong as far as fit issues that I discovered. I like that they do this. This is nice, and it isn't at the same time. They give you these pictures, reference pictures for the interior here, but you have to be careful because depending on which one that you're building, this is a wartime DH9 versus the post-war, which are different. Like, this is the starter switches. They're sitting over here now, and there's a compass here that's not here anymore, so you gotta pay attention, not solely base it on this. I only based mostly the interior wood color on there, as far as everything goes. What is the next thing? The engines. Oh, the engines are beautiful. I spent so much time detailing the engine, it's not visible. You can take the top off. There's a cover on the top here, and it snaps on, and I can't get it off, so I said screw it. I took enough pictures of it, so I've got it documented. If I ever need to know what my engine looked like, I'll just go at it in there. This is one thing you do need to pay attention to, is there are 4 or 5 options, I can't remember, Yeah, 5 options. So you have to be careful here, because this is for option A, B, C, D. This is only for option A, B. This is for option C. This is for option E, B. They do this all the time. You got to pay attention to it, and there's a lot of times where I was caught off guard, and I went, wait a minute, did I do this right? And I'd go back, oh, no, I did. I'm doing option E. This is for option C. Yada, 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 yada. Again, what's really nice is they'll throw in real photographs. This is a beautiful book for instructions. It's one of the nicest that I've ever seen in my life. If more companies were to start stealing this style of instruction, I don't think they would mind. I think that would be just a compliment to them. What is really nice is you do get the option of having all the control surfaces posed, so you can have them up and down and however you'd like them. And I do regret actually not doing that on mine, but next time I will. After I placed the gun in the back of the turret, I kind of went and looked at it and went, oh, you know, that would have looked better if I had done it like, you know, them down or something. Yeah, this was an interesting venture to keep the wings straight. You put it inside the box. Actually worked perfectly, I might add. I was darn shocked. I went, well, you gotta be kidding me. Worked out just brilliantly. Whoever came up with that, which is what I mentioned later on, which I'll explain. I'll explain when that comes out. So you do get some options, bombs and racks and all sorts of stuff, which this one doesn't have any. This particular version. So here's the turret. This is probably the only complicated photo etched bit was you have to bend these around the frame there. And other than that, it was simple. It was quite easy. And even that just took a little bit of patience. It wasn't nothing I was, you know, terribly worried about. The rigging guides are very nice. I really like them. They have on here the different type of width that you could be using, I want to say should be using, and then they tell you how to put it all up in here. My only kind of complaint with the rigging diagram is, I would say it's the profiles. It could use a bit more profiles. There were a couple times where it's like, especially in here, kind of underneath the fuel tank to the canopy and the wing there, there's a couple times where I was kind of guessing how does it all fit in there, and I'd have to do a bit of research, and that wasn't too bad. As far as rigging diagrams go, I still think this is one of the best for having them in green and blue, you know, molded out like that. Might be nicer in red actually, but this was the only problem I had with the kit actually, was the schemes. They're not bad or anything like that, but they're all just silver drab with a bit of red, silver drab with a bit of black, basically all silver drab. And I went for this one, which is the Russian one. They called it the R1. They were built out of license, so they're not technically a Ninak. The first they were built under license, but then Russia basically took them, or the USSR took them and just started building them on their own. And I really like this one because I've never built anything really Russian before, and so to get this really drabby looking thing was incredibly fun. I wish they would have added this one, which is one of the things that I mentioned in the full build. It's got these really cool Stars of David on there and these red wingtips, but that's a very minimal thing, because I've seen like 4 different decal sets of, like a set of 4 decals for this kit. So there's a whole bunch of options, because a whole bunch of countries use these things. We have Russia, Middle East, Canada, Australia, Soviet Union, China. So there's quite a few, and there's even a bit more than that. So I've seen some really great decal schemes coming out of there. So as far as the construction goes, it was it's a pretty sound kit. You can see the wings are moving them just a little bit. There is a bit of an issue with the weight. One of the things that I don't like that they did in the kit is they molded the wings. This is all one piece of solid plastic, and it is quite weighty. So that's for all 4 wings, and that does get a little nerve-wracking after a little while, to be honest. You can see here it likes to just teeter a little bit like that. Hasn't broken. I don't think it ever will, but yeah, it does add a bit of weight. It does make me a little uneasy. So here's the cover, and that's not coming off as far as I'm concerned. I'm not even gonna try. I can't remember what colors I used on this thing, but I used several greens and just blended them all together here. And you can see the decal on the side. It's very hard for me to pose this model, so I do apologize, guys. But yeah, these are all Russian war cries, and I just thought that they looked incredibly cool. Very, very Russian as far as I was concerned. Let me just spin it around here. So you do get quite a nice detailed interior here. I left the seat belts off because they took up a lot of detail, and I in the last one that I did, they were just such a fuss. I said screw it, I'm not even gonna bother with them this time around, and I'm glad I left them off. So it's not entirely accurate, but they're huge. They're absolutely massive seat belts that they used to wear back then, and they just took up so much space. It was just frustrating to look in there and, you know, have all that work hidden. So I couldn't bring myself to do it. Others probably don't feel the same. But like, here's the turret section. So I glued that down, and after I glued it, I thought to myself, well, I should have had the wings doing something, having a little bit more life in it, but oh well, next build, like I said. I went ahead and the decals for it were very nice. They conformed very, very well. As far as I was concerned, it did take a couple tries. Good gloss coat, and they're on there quite nicely. I went ahead and afterwards used some oil washes and added in the brown streaks on all the ribs, and it looks quite nice. It's hard for it to pick it up in the light from my camera, but they are there. I think you can kind of see them a bit more in here. It does have a bit of a semi-gloss sheen to it. I just noticed that. I'm not quite sure why it's doing that, because I did give it a good dull coat. Maybe I'll add another flat coat to it. For the underside here, it's a bit of a gray blue, and then I added a dark gray in there, making these streaks. And man, if that wasn't fun to see that. Really happy with the underside. I kind of wish the whole aircraft was this color, because I think it looks very, very nice. Very, very pleased with how that turned out. This is kind of cool. There's a little hole right here. This is for the pilot to look down when they're bombing. And there's this chute in the back. Sorry guys, let me just readjust this. This is so hard to film. I'm gonna do my best here. The chute slides back, and there's a camera in the back there on the inside. I decided to keep it closed after I did all these washes on it. I thought, what the heck, whatever. You can't really see it on there anyways, unless I were to point it out. Speaking of rigging, I've seen a lot of people lately buying Edward 48 scale kits and stuff, and good on ya for trying some rigging on there. Michael was one I was talking to. He was talking about how he went to the show and he bought himself some Easy Line, which is what I used to rig this, the same I used for the Eindecker. The only problem that I found with it is I should have bought something a bit thicker. I'm really happy, really just pleased to the world of just how wonderful this stuff works and how nice it looked. I wish it was a bit thicker, however, because they do kind of blend in a bit, and I think to the scale they would have been a bit thicker, slightly double the size, which I could have bought from them, but it wasn't something I even noticed really until I did the wings. After I had the wings, I started inward and went out on either side, and I stood back and looked and went, oh, it looks great, but they do kind of disappear, as you can see here. You can see them, but yeah, it would have been a little bit better in my opinion had I made them a bigger scale. But that's all trial and error stuff, so I'll learn better for next time. one of the other things too, and I was talking to Michael about this, is there's all these little holes everywhere. There's just little dots, and that's where the line is supposed to go. So basically all you have to do is cut the rope, or cut the length that you want, and you glue it into the hole there, and it's better to secure it. It's one of the nicest methods for rigging I've ever seen. They do recommend that you drill the holes out a little bit deeper. Highly suggest that you do that. I guess that's why I never realized that. I guess that's why the wings are full plastic, so you can do that. Because if they were solid, or if they had a gap, you'd be going through it. Ah, I never thought of that. Okay, Wingnut Wings, you win. You're more clever than I am. As I said before, though, the construction of the kit for this one in particular, the one that I built before, I had fit issues with, because apparently a lot of the older Wingnut Wing kits do have fit issues when they were doing them in the CAD files or the CAD files, which is where they design these on the computer. Some of their earlier ones, they didn't properly compensate the space, so you do run into fit issues. This one, none. I don't think I had a single fit issue. It was a brilliant model to put together, and if you're a beginner who wants to, or not saying a beginner, but someone who wants to try one of these Wingnut Wing kits for the first time, I highly recommend this Ninak out of all of them. It's a beautiful model. It's simple, and you're going to have a lot of fun on it. Just building it up piece by piece slowly is a lot of fun. If you don't want to have the engine on it, like the engine all painted and detailed up, you know, I had to build it up for the article, so this would come off and you'd see all the stuff in there if it were, but like these side walls, they're stuck on there. You know, there's no way to get rid of any of that. So, I'm not sure what else there's to say, guys. It's a darn fun kit. I had so much fun doing this kit, and I was overly impressed with how well Wingnut had done on this. You know, every time I ran into a problem with the older one, which was the Biff, what do they call that? The Bristol F2B. Like the braces here on the Biff, I ran into so many problems with them getting the wings on there. This one, everyone fit in just perfectly. The wings set down on top of it. It was a dream, guys. I'm not even joking. It was just such a delight, and every time I was going, oh, something bad's gonna happen. No, none of it. The only error I had, as a matter of fact, that I can really think of, was getting the fuselage halves together, and there's a seam line here, and it dried like this, so it dried up, and that was my own fault. So yeah, I wasn't paying enough attention. Had I done that, I wouldn't have had to spend so much time sanding and polishing and filling it all in. But yeah, it's a great kit. And the next one I really want to buy is the Snipe here. Sopwith Snipe. I don't know why. I'm not really a fan of Sopwith, but I like the Sopwith Camel. But I love this little thing. It looks so cute. So you get a couple others in here, but this one I really like, and I might pick that one up next year. But needless to say, I'm darn proud of this. If you're gonna rig it up, which I think you should, honestly, you should, because you'll stand back and you're just gonna be impressed. Buy EasyLine. It is the nicest stuff on the planet for rigging. I don't quite care for rigging 72nd scale. The Eindecker was an exception, because that was a fairly easy one. That was a monoplane. I didn't have that much to do on it. 48 scale, I might do some 48 scale stuff and rig them, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm sold on Wingnut Wing kits. Like, if I'm going to be building anything World War I that I want to do rigging and have a really good time, this is the company to do it with, guys. Seriously, they are amazing. So I seriously just can't get over how nice they are. You will buy the kit, you'll be overwhelmed at first, but you start building it and you're just in a world of fun. And it was a blast. Like I said, I enjoyed this kit way too much, and it was a privilege to get to build. So I was really happy with this one, and I thought I wish I had done better on my Bristol F2B, but I learned a lot from there, so I was able to do this. So yeah, if you have any more questions about these kits or anything like that, just leave comments down below. I'll try and answer them as soon as I can. And I think that's about it. I can't quite think of anything more I want to say about it. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. Like I said, I legally can't show the build yet, but I will later on. So there's not going to be anything of the build for this up on my blog or anything like that for a while. But I'll talk about that later when the time comes. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all later. This is Rose at Cloud9 signing out.